In today's video, we will be discussing the IELTS speaking section of the IELTS exam. The speaking section contains 3 different parts, and you will be asked different types of questions in each part. Stay tuned for an explanation of all the different IELTS speaking part 1, part 2, and part 3. As well, I will go through some sample IELTS speaking questions and answers, and I will give you some IELTS speaking vocabulary that you can keep in mind to help you score a high band in your IELTS exam. Just in case you're wondering who I am a certified language teacher in Canada, and I've been helping coach IELTS students for the past 6 years. I decided to start this YouTube channel to help you with your IELTS journey. So if you like this video, please make sure you subscribe because I put out content every Friday to help you with your IELTS exam. Also, please check out my website at eslwords.com, where I have written lots of articles with strategies to help you in the different sections of the IELTS test. So let's get right into the video. So just in case you are not sure what is expected of you in the different IELTS speaking sections, so part 1 actually will ask you questions with something to do with your hobbies. Well, obviously the beginning will start with your full name and things like this, but once he asks you for your name and all that, the examiner will ask you questions, a few other questions that may be about your interests, such as do you like drawing, playing a sport, what you like to watch on TV, and how you plan your day, or how you manage your time, and what your daily routine looks like. And also, you may be asked something about technology, such as the internet, your phone, about cars, and things like this. So just keep in mind that one rule of thumb that I advise you is that you should not use any difficult words you have a hard time pronouncing. The reason for this is the reason you should speak with simple words and not complicating ones is because if you look at the IELTS speaking band descriptors, you are being marked 25% of your overall IELTS speaking section is on your pronunciation. So I recommend that you stick to simple words that you are comfortable pronouncing, because you want to make sure that you could ace this 25% to help your overall IELTS speaking section. So definitely, I highly recommend, as I mentioned, to use words that you are comfortable pronouncing to help boost your score. So part 2 of the IELTS speaking section gets a bit more trickier than the part 1 because you will be given a topic that you, as well as 3 subtopics that you have to answer. So when the examiner says the question to you, he will give you 1 minute to prepare your answer on a little paper where you just jot a few notes down of how you are going to answer these questions. So you will be given 1 minute to jot some notes down, and just remember that this 1 minute is very important. You need to make sure you take that 1 minute very seriously, and make sure you also include how you are going to start answering these questions when you are giving the answers to the examiner. If you are not sure of how you can take this 1 minute into consideration and use it wisely, check out my other video in the description box I have mentioned, because I actually talk about how you can outline your answer on a paper, how you can outline your answer to help you score a high band in the IELTS speaking section. Let's look at the IELTS speaking part 3. Most students find this part the most challenging, just because the examiner will relate the questions in part 3 back to the questions that he asked you in part 2. So it's usually within the same subject or topic of discussion. And part 3 is just a discussion, an informal discussion between you and the examiner. But however, I will tread with caution when I say it's an informal discussion, because you should not be using any slang. You should make sure that you still use full words, full sentences when you are answering these questions to the examiner. I will show you some sample questions and answers, like I said, later in this video. So here are some IELTS vocabulary that you could use throughout your answers for the speaking section. So some vocabulary when you are trying to compare and contrast a particular sentence, you could use words such as however, in comparison to, compared to, similar to. So here is a sentence, an example sentence you would be able to use these words in. Taking the bus takes so long compared to driving somewhere. So words to describe some similarities that you can use is also similarly, equally similar. There are so many errands I have to run today. I also must do laundry. And if you want to use a word that you're trying to describe something in detail, you could use although, but, mainly. And an example sentence would be, although I have worked till 5 p.m., I have to pick up my son at 3:15. So for reasoning, if you are trying to give a reason for something in your IELTS speaking section, you could use words like because of this, since, and a sample sentence would be, it snowed a lot yesterday. Because of this, I want to make sure I take extra caution on the road today. And last but not least, when you are combining a sentence or a thought in your IELTS speaking section, you could use words such as additionally, in addition, next, and here is a sample sentence. First, we went to buy groceries. Next, I went to get a haircut. So guys, I would highly recommend that you at least use one or two of these vocabulary words within each section of the IELTS speaking exam, just because this will show the examiner that you are able to connect sentences in a concise manner clearly. So now we are going to look at some sample questions and answers for each section. So this is a question that you may see in the IELTS speaking part 1. What are some of your job duties? My current role as a project manager requires me to attend a lot of meetings as well as visit different sites where the construction is happening. So guys, if you see this sentence, I used synonym language to show the examiner that I am confident in my answer and I understand the topic that I am answering. So I highly recommend that throughout your answers, you don't start your answer by, my job duties are, blah, blah, blah. You should try to show the examiner that you are able to use different words, reword the sentence, to score yourself a higher band. So I highly recommend that when you are answering your questions, you take the sample answer into consideration. Now let's take a look at the next part 1 sample question. So here's another sample a question. Do you hope to get a job in your field of study? The answer you can say is I've been studying software development in my free time for the past 2 years, as I've always had a passion for building apps. This is something I genuinely love doing. So, yes, I hope to get a job in this field. So, once again, I use synonym language here. I didn't use any words that are mentioned in the question that the examiner would ask me. So the next question that you may get is there reliable public transportation in your hometown? You could say something like, I remember taking the bus every morning to reach my high school. It only took me 10 minutes because the transportation system is very fast and dependable. So if you see, I try to use, once again, no words from the question. And this is something that I keep saying, but you definitely need to keep it in mind. Because although the question seems easy to answer, the examiner is looking for a lot more for your answer, such as more sentences, more explanation, and everything along these lines. So let's look at another question. What room is the best part of your entire house? An answer that would score you a high band would be I love spending some time in the living room because the windows face the backyard where I see many animals like deer every day. So this is another part one question. Do you wear traditional clothes from your country? Wearing cultural attire has always been a part of my identity because it makes me feel like I am able to represent who I am. I usually wear these clothes during the weekend. So let's have a look at some IELTS speaking part 2 sample questions. So as I mentioned in this part, you will be given a question, an overall question, and 3 to 4 subpoints that you have to include in your answer. So the question here is describe a time someone gave you advice. You should say if the advice was good or bad, what the advice was about, and if you appreciated the advice or not. So when the examiner lets you know of the question, he will give you 1 minute to prepare a 2-minute full answer. So when I say 2-minute full answer, what I mean by this is you need to make sure you speak for a full 2 minutes, not 1.5 minutes or 1 minute, because you will be given a low band. So make sure that you cover all these points into detail. When I was younger, my mom would always advise me to save my money and not spend it on useless things. To be honest, when she would give me this advice, I wouldn't listen to her because I loved eating at my favorite restaurant. However, now that I remember this advice, she was absolutely right. Although I didn't appreciate the advice she gave me at the time, when I got older and wiser, it is a piece of advice that has always been on my mind. So, guys, if you are not sure how you can prepare your IELTS speaking part 2, as I mentioned, you are not sure how to prepare your 1 minute jotting down notes, then definitely, as I mentioned earlier, check out my video down in my description box. I have another detailed guide of how you can outline your notes to make sure you are able to answer every single point the examiner is looking for in a full 2 minutes. So here is another question. Describe your daily routine. You should say what you do daily, how you manage your time, and what the most important task of your day is. And here's an answer. To be honest, ever since I became a mom, I find that I am very strict on my routine. The main reason is that it helps me stay on track with my school, work, and kids. After I drop the kids to school, I work out for an hour, then I start my job. Since I have a remote job, I am able to make lunch during my lunch hour. When I pick my kids up around 3:30, when I get home, that was lunch hour. Then I pick my kids up around 3:30. When they get home, we spend time together as a family and they go to bed at 8 p.m. every night. The most important task of my day is going to the gym because I want to make sure I am healthy enough to be able to take care of my kids and myself. So, if you noticed in this answer, I made sure that I covered every single point that the examiner had asked me in the question. Last but not least, let's take a look at some sample questions for the Part 3 speaking section. Why do you think it's important for people to travel and see other countries? Traveling is the best education someone can experience, especially because it teaches you so much about yourself and about how others live. I think everyone should spend their money less on other things and travel the world to experience the richness of other cultures. So here is another sample question that you may get in part 3. Would you say tourism is popular in your country? And if you are given a question like this, then you could say an answer like this. Many people love to visit Canada because of the beautiful parks, the beauty in all four seasons, and the maple syrup. So I would say Canada is definitely a popular tourist country. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed my video today. I have included lots of sample questions and answers for you to get an idea of how you should be answering your IELTS speaking test questions. If you liked my video, then please subscribe to my channel as I put out content every Friday. And make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos that I post. Also, make sure you check out my website at eslwords.com because I definitely think the articles I have written will definitely help you.